to round 14 preview. As we speak about, we're a little bit, well, not a day late because it's going to be released today, but we had a bit of a mishap on a run. It wasn't me on the run, but it was my little mate here in front of me. The great Mitchell Pearce was on his run the other day and has been hit by a car. Usually when someone gets hit by a car, you shouldn't laugh, but I just want to know the full details of the story because there's no way it wasn't your fault.
Well, it actually wasn't my fault, but, mate, crazy. So, obviously, sorry for the day delay, footy nerds. I had to message the boys at about 8 o'clock last night because I was at hospital getting some stitches. I went for a run yesterday. I was planning to do a 10K run, and I was about 6Ks in. I was crossing over the road. I had a look. As I've gone across the road, the car comes around a corner, and I've had a full-on. I've hit the windscreen. The windscreen shattered. Fucking rolled to the ground. Luckily, she wasn't going too fast, but enough for me to look at my both arms. I had blood pissing out, blood all over my body. So I think she freaked out like I'd done something pretty serious. I got 11 stitches in my right arm and 4 in my left, so it was pretty good whack.
Can I ask?
I went in the ambulance. When I messaged you boys, I was in the ambulance because obviously the cops had to come, and she was a bit worried, the lady, but spoke to her today, and she felt she was apologetic. And over here, it was a bit of both. It was my fault, it was her fault, to be honest. I should have probably waited a bit longer, and I saw that the road was clear, so I crossed the road, and then she's just come around out of nowhere. But luckily, I'm sweet.
Did you go up in the air?
I might not be here today.
Did you go up in the air?
Nah, it was just she sort of come this way, and as I saw her, I basically fended her. Like, it was a pretty good fend.
Palmed her off, gee.
As I've got the bumpers up, I've rolled down a bit. I did hit the ground, but I got back up. It didn't hit my head or anything like that, but I had looked straight out of my arm, had a big shark bite on there. It was a big open gash. Got about 11, 12 stitches on the right and 4 on the left, so it was a good day. I enjoyed it, to be honest.
Did the poor lady speak English or French? Obviously, she spoke French.
Full French, so
how did you go?
There was a man behind because obviously they all freaked out, and there's this bloke there with blood pissing out of his body. And she's and her window was shattered. So he comes over and just said, "I'll come in the car park." She pulls in and she was a bit rattled, didn't speak much English. But the bloke behind called the ambulance, and I just said, "Look, I'm sweet. Just get me somewhere where I can stop the blood." And then, as I said, spoke to the lady this morning. Well, my partner did, who obviously speaks French, and she was apologetic. We both made a mistake, and life goes on, brother. But I apologise to the footy nerds for being late. I was in hospital getting the stitches, but life goes on, Toddy. It's another experience. It's one of those things you got to embrace. You know what I mean? It's another moment in time.
It's part of a journey that you've never happened before. I've never been hit by a car before. I flipped the car in France once, but never crashed, never been hit by one.
I spoke to a few people today. They said, only you. No one else except me, one of one, would do this. You can't tell. Not too many people get hit by a car, so it's just another badge of honour.
Well, I did say it to Susie because I got up yesterday morning, come in here to my room and went and jumped back into bed. She goes, "What are you doing?" That was quick. I was like, "Oh, Mitch got hit by a car yesterday." And only because it's you, I reckon people laugh.
I know.
Everyone else was like,
I didn't get much sympathy.
Is he all right? Is he all right? Obviously, if he weren't all right, I'd be upset. But she obviously knew that it wasn't that bad. But it's just you have to laugh.
Well, a big takeaway is he's had the footy nerds on his mind straight away. He goes, "Geez, I better let the boys know."
That's
not the missus or anything.
Well, I didn't. Yeah, I was disappointed that I missed game day, so I messaged the medical staff straight away, Gabe, Toddy, and got the all clear for the day off. So we're back today. A few injuries, as you do in footy, stitches. You can still play with stitching. So I'll be back on track tomorrow, ready to roll again. Another day. It's a great experience, to be honest with you.
Who's the Catalans got this weekend?
The Catalans got the week off. I'm actually going to London tomorrow to watch the Challenge Cup Grand Final.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna go.
Warrington
Oh,
Hull
sorry, not tomorrow,
KR.
Friday.
Warrington Hull
tomorrow.
KR.
Warrington Hull KR. Sam Burgess versus Willie Peters to the Footy Nerds. It's a good
Where's it
contest
played
for
in
potential
London?
NRL. Wembley.
Oh, wow. That's a massive
So it's
weekend.
going to be big atmosphere. So I'll go and watch. Well, I'm supporting Hull, obviously, but yeah, for footy fans, it's a good contest for two potential NRL coaches in the near future. Guys that are getting their names thrown up and plenty of good players. So I'll give you some feedback on our Monday show review show for the fans.
Oh, good. Well, let's dive into it.
How are you, Toddy?
I'm good, mate.
Any weird shit going on?
No, not much weird shit. There's always weird shit going on in my head. But other than that, I'm all right. Obviously, I had my birthday on Monday, 39. Keebra played our first game last night. We beat Redcliffe, I think it was 40-10. The boys were impressive. All three ages. So 10As won, Open Bs, and then our Open As won too. So it's a really good night for our boys, and it's really good to see them stick to the process and the plan. We've changed up their attack a little bit, and they executed really well last night. It was good to sort of get an insight with the boys of obviously playing the long game, because when you're 16, 17 years old, when you say long game, the kids that see the game differently, I reckon. It's hard for them to process it and understand what you mean. And if you just play to structure and not so much structure, if you get to your points on the field, I'm trying to say is that you'll have joy, especially in school footy, because defensive systems are non-negotiables. If they get to the middle of the field, they have to go 5-5, which most teams do, but also you can manipulate that with your markers and where the fullback stands. But at that level, there's a lot of it's black and white. You have to be here, you have to be there, and if you execute your attack properly, you'll always have an overlap. And last night showed that for our boys. Then we went through the front door, which was good, which we wanted.
How hard is it to educate you obviously got the good players there at their age group, majority of those kids at Keebra, but how hard is it what's your approach to different kids for the viewers listening? And obviously, like you said, there's some kids that will grasp long game at an earlier age with better footy IQ, or there's some kids that are free spirits that don't understand it. How do you approach that?
Well, the main thing you do is obviously you support first. So you give your method. There's always a method to every madness, isn't there? And then you go into detail, you test them and try it. So we tried it early on. Then we went away from it because it didn't seem to stick. And then the way we've gone with our halves, we decided to go back to it. And since then, it's been really good. But I guess when you do it more and more again and they see joy from it, it becomes natural to, not so much natural, but it becomes a habit because they like it. They can see it unfolding properly. The hard thing in any level of football, I guess, other than any level before NRL, there's a lot of individuals, which is fine. And that's really good because then at a 16, 17, or from 15, whatever, from year 7 right through to year 12, individuals get stood out because they're a class above sometimes, but also a lot of kids will play to be individuals because they want to get a contract, they want to play for Queensland, they want to play for Australia, so they want to put their best display on all the time. And as you know, when it gets to the next level, it's team mentality. So you've got to play to the team, the strength of the team. But if you're an individual, you can't win games being an individual in the NRL. So you've got to try and let them understand that it's okay not to get the ball all the time. It's okay not to play the best game all the time, and it's okay to have errors because they get so disappointed in themselves because they want to be good every week. They want to do the flashy plays every week. They want to be the person that stands out and gets man of the match. But sometimes it's not like that. So it's trying to actually educate them that there's a team. We're a team first, and then the rest comes from the back of that. So success will get our players' eyes in front of our clubs. And a lot of the boys are already signed anyway in our Open A's. But it's just trying to let them know that, first of all, we're a team. And then what happens to you individually away from it will come on the back of a good team performance also, not just a one-out play or a big moment. But it's been really good. I'm enjoying it. And last night was a reward for everyone that the way we played and defended was outstanding. That was a big bonus out of last night. And he's got 2 tries and 1 was off a kick. Well, we are here for a special round 14 preview, and our first game is the Newcastle Knights up against the Manly Sea Eagles. Manly still without Jake. Newcastle welcome back KP, and Cogger and Fletcher Sharp go to the halves with Tommy Gamble out with a broken thumb. So another change not another change in the halves, but it's a different look. How do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. I think it'll be a good game. Newcastle have to win. We've been saying that most weeks, but it was only a couple of weeks ago they had a really good performance. We all know they're hit and miss this year, but their opposition's pretty similar. The opposition in Manly is a hit and miss team as well. Both sides, it's a bit unpredictable how they're going to turn up. So I think it's going to be a good contest. And historically, Newcastle and Manly always have good contests. Obviously, you go back to the Spud Carroll days against Chief Harrigan, and when I played in Newcastle, there's always a lot of passion around that derby, Manly versus Newcastle. So, hey, just on Manly, saw Turbo talk about
Rumoured
Super League.
Right?
Yeah,
What the fuck?
I was going to touch on that after. So it's come
He's
out,
too
obviously.
young.
They're opening up negotiations to obviously extend or when they're off contract. And there was talk about what they're actually on at the moment, what they can potentially get, or what they're potentially looking at getting. I think Jake's on around $950 to $1 million, and he will look like a significant pay cut of, say, $500,000. Yeah, because obviously where the cap is and players they need to retain and things like that. And then for Tom was very similar, but he didn't go into detail of what he's on or what he would receive. But he has sort of come out and said that he wouldn't play against Manly, that if in 2027 which is 2 years away, at the end of 2027, if he couldn't come up with a negotiation to get a deal at Manly, he'd look to go to the Super League. So
and how old would he be then?
I'm not too sure how he'd be then, but we just spoke about team first mentality and what it is, and they've sort of said that they can't see themselves playing against Manly. So if it doesn't fall right to stay in Australia to play for Manly, they'd look at their options overseas.
It's kind of refreshing, isn't it? Like hearing that. I had 2 things when I heard it, because most players would like a Turbo style player that's got so much to achieve still because he's had such a stop-start career. Sort of, you wouldn't imagine many players to make that call at such an early age when they've still got a lot to prove. But then the other thing, and obviously we both experienced playing in overseas, I also loved it that he sort of said that. It sort of shows how loyal he is to his home team. He doesn't want to play against them, but he's also obviously open-minded that footy's not everything. Or that NRL's not everything, if I'm saying that right. I don't know. That's how I interpreted it. I liked it. It was refreshing because I just think you wouldn't hear too many players at a young age like him. They've got Australian and New South Wales, their hands on those jerseys, chance to win a comp, to be selfless, to put a club first and then be like, I'll just go and experience something else. Because he's downgrading if he was to go to Super League to give up all those rep jerseys and opportunities in the NRL on big money at an early age, isn't he?
Do you think he could get, and I know it's probably a bit of a silly question, but, Turbo's not half the player he has been due to injuries and setbacks. I think that's fair to say. Could he get a big contract at another club easy? Like, would he walk into another club, do you think? Or is it too risky a purchase for another club because he's so
I think he would. I think he would, and that's why I'm saying it's quite different, his mentality to say that, like that he's happy just to walk. You still got to perform, and Super League's a great comp. But with all the achievements he could achieve back home, as you said, the money, it's a different move. So it is a different move. Surprised when I read it. I was surprised when I read it. I wouldn't expect anyone else of his caliber at that age to say that without having like a indiscretion or something that you've been pushed aside to have to go. It was interesting.
Well, it'll be
What do you think,
interesting,
Sonny?
but also gives Manly now time to work out what they can pay the brothers when it does that time comes that they're off contract. But also what it does, it gives, when you look at things like that, it gives the chance to even Super League clubs to work out how much money they got. But to answer your question, Gabe, is that a club would be willing to risk to sign him. And when I say risk, he's definitely a risk because his body hasn't been great to him. But also we know that when he is injured, he works hard. And there's always, we talk about rugby league's a business. So when you're sitting there thinking about if a Turbo was to come off contract and your club wanted him, there's always that what if in rugby league. You go, okay, what if we get him? It's a change of environment, different physios, things like that. Maybe we could be the team or the club to change the sort of the hard fortune of injuries, because we don't know what it is, because obviously it comes down to this, his body not letting him sort of excel to that next part. But if I was a club and I seen it, I'd be like, I'd love to get him and that what if moment. And so, but who knows? Obviously, definitely clubs would still come after him for sure, and I would. But it's massive news, obviously, but it's also great to see players saying that what they'll do for their club. But we are here to talk about who will win.
Just one on that too, though, sorry, before you go. It almost is just coming from the horse's mouth as a sense of self-doubt about how serious that actually injury is. Because, like, he hasn't really come out and spoke about it, but there's obviously some serious issues there, because it's almost a bit of a folding over to how bad your body is to an extent, isn't it?
Yeah.
Admitting it a bit.
Well,
Because
yeah,
there's obviously self-doubt, whether he can play. He can be, his body would give it as good as it can get for the next 10 years. It's quite sad, really, that such a good player has had to deal with that. Because he could have been immortal.
He was the best player in the world at one point. Like that season, whatever, a few years ago, he was the best player ever.
Well, let's put it in this perspective. If his body was solid, you're not even speaking about that. You're probably speaking about a $2 million, potentially the first $2 million player in the competition and an immortal.
And that's the thing. 2027 is a long time away. And we've seen parts of this season that when he's fit and firing, he's a dangerous player. So he's still at that caliber of, like, it doesn't matter the age, and sometimes he's still at the caliber of player he is, what money he'd demand. Like, I understand maybe with the Jake thing that he'd have to take a pay cut because he's getting a little bit older. He plays in the middle of the field. They've got players coming through that they want to retain. And also they want to retain Hopewadi too. So you can see where there's also a discussion about that. But when you look at Tom's performances when he's firing, he's still lethal. He's still that top tier fullback, centre, winger, wherever he plays. So there's doubt, but there's also some upside to what you get also if you were to get him. But he's already sort of said that he wouldn't play other than a club like Manly. So on that, who wins, Mitch?
Yeah, I'm going to go Manly. I just don't see the Knights. I just can't see the Knights getting in their groove. I hope they do, and we keep talking about it. But I'm going to tip Manly. I just think Manly's got a bit too much class. Cherry Evans just before Origin, on the eve of Origin selection. I think they're going to stick with him. We'll get to that later in Queensland, but I think Cherry will have another big game. Needs to have a big game as well to take some good form into Origin. And as you said, you just spoke about Hopewadi before. I love that combination of Hopewadi and Kohler on that edge, and that Newcastle defence on that edge can be a bit shaky. So I think they're going to have some joy there.
I'm with you there. I think Manly win. I think DCE sort of takes his form from last weekend, understands what is needed to beat a Newcastle team. But they will be coming. Obviously, KP, he welcomes back him after Origin, so he'll be looking to put on a big performance at home. They've been quite poor at home, so they need to go there. Manly on the road isn't too far to travel, but I see Manly getting a win, and I think big Ola Kawatu has a field day down that right. So I think they have a field day down the right side of the field and have some joy early. Well, our second game is the Storm v the Cowboys. Both teams full strength. What they can put on paper is their best team at the moment. So this is a big clash for the Cowboys going down to Melbourne on the eve of Origin. Also, players obviously looking to stake claims, but also trying to find some more form going into that Origin. And both teams have got Origin stars. You spoke about DCE there, Mitch. Tommy Dearden is on show against an outfit like Melbourne. I think if he can play his best performance and Cowboys sneak a win, I think he gets picked over DCE on Sunday afternoon or Monday when Queensland's picked. But if he can't, and he can't deliver against Melbourne, I think they stick with DCE. That's if DCE beats Newcastle. And I think it's a really good look into the two future halves for Queensland, who could be the new halves. Well, not new halves, but Dearden can stake some claims, and we'll see it early this weekend because it's in our first two games.
Yeah, I'm going to go Melbourne. I just think they don't lose back-to-back very often. I think Cowboys are going to be... It's going to be a great game again. I think Cowboys will throw plenty at them, but I just think Melbourne... I spoke about their looseness in their footy a little bit, even though they won last week. I just think Munster's ready for a big game, and I just think Melbourne at their best against the Cowboys side on paper, man for man, Melbourne get the job done. But I don't agree with you for Queensland. I think Cherry Evans will hold on to his spot. I think it'll be almost a bit of a last hurrah mentality for Cherry. It'll probably be his last series anyway. If he plays the whole series out, well, fair chance, obviously, with his age. But I just think they're going to stick with him. I just think the way the game went in Queensland that, we were critical of him. I was critical. I thought Ches played really average in the first game, but I think he's a captain, and I just think changing him, putting Dearden in there to have all the pressure to be the game manager, I just don't think is the right time for a must-win.
I'm with you. I think Melbourne win.
Dearden will be lurking around. Who knows? It could be an injury, and then one of them get their spot. So, Cowboys, you reckon?
No, I think Melbourne. Melbourne win.
Melbourne, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Melbourne. Down there, Friday night, big game of footy. Cameron Munster will have his hair slicked back, fire and ready to go. And it's a dangerous thought going down there to Melbourne on a Friday night. And I think the Cowboys will be on the back of that. Our third game.
If the Storm play like they did last week against the Titans, do they lose? Like, do they need to play better against the Cowboys, do you think?
They beat them they definitely have to play better because the Cowboys will be looking at performance and they'll be looking at the sort of up and down, or not so much up and down, but sort of the looseness, as Mitch spoke about, of Melbourne throughout this season. They'll look at that as their strengths to play at to try and execute and find a win. But last Saturday here at Gold Coast was teeming down rain. It had been raining all week. Players backing up from Origin. The last thing they want to do is probably play footy, and it probably showed a little bit. But I think with a Bellamy spray after a win even on Saturday night, they'll be ready to buy into a game of footy this Friday against the Cowboys because they know how important it is too. It's a business end. Origin still got 2 Origin games. The top 8's tight enough as it is, and they want to continue to push on.
Yep.
Our third game is the Dolphins v the Dragons. This is a juicy clash. Both teams also full strength coming this team with what they've had over the last few weeks. They're both coming in fit and ready up here at KO Stadium. How do you see it playing out?
I'm going to back the Dragons. Just on... Yeah, it's a big call, that. There's a part of me that just says it's an easier bet to back the Dolphins. It's a risk for me, which means I think Dolphins are the favourites for sure, playing up in Queensland.
Well, why don't you make it your cheddar if you're a risk taker?
My cheddar, which I'll get to soon, I think is a risk itself, so I'll stick with that. But I think this game is I think the Dragons, the way they played last week, you'd think that they would have got a boost out of that, some confidence. I don't know. There's a feeling, not that my tips are very good week to week, so I wouldn't be trusting them, but I just think Dragons I just think Dragons with Gutho, Cook, Holmes on the eve of Origin. Flano did some nice things last week. You might get a little kick out of that. Just think there's a little bit of momentum. You have a big win like that and you get plenty of praise. You feel good about it. You galvanise the group. You can sometimes string some wins together in those sort of middle tier teams. When you get momentum, just from personal experience, the boys feel good about themselves. They get up for the challenge, playing away from home, top 8, lurking around the top 8. I just see the Dragons getting the job done.
Yeah, well, I think on paper, both teams on paper are pretty much full strength. So I'm going to go the Dolphins just purely because it's up here. They're both, as you said, both teams are sort of toiling around that bottom 8 end. Both teams need a win. I like what you said about the Dragons, but I just think up here in Queensland, on the eve of Origin, also players will want to stake their claims. Obviously, the Hammer was quiet in Origin, so he'll be looking to fire at fullback. But I just like Katoa. I think he can pull apart the Dragons team, and they'll have some joy from the way he'll play. We always rap how good he is and things like that, but I think he'll have some joy. But I think it'll be a tight one. I think it'll be 2 points in it. It'll go down to the wire. It won't be. We won't know who's winning the game until I reckon the last 5 minutes. So Mystic Mac, the Houdini, could be right here.
5 minutes to go. Field goal
on a
Hey?
Field goal.
I reckon 2 points. They'll win by 2. Penalty.
Late penalty.
Yeah, late penalty. Jermaine Asako.
I just came to mind, boys, because obviously Cookie has played some Origin before, one of the great centres for New South Wales. But there's rumours going around that Reece Robson, obviously our 9, could be in doubt for game 2. Who's the
Great
chance
hookers,
there?
you mean, or centres? Did you say hookers?
No,
or
I was
centres?
just
He played
mucking around.
centre
Remember,
that
he got put
game.
into the centre there.
Oh, nice game. Yeah, that's right. That was
Happy
interesting, wasn't it?
Coruscant would come into the 9.
Nice game.
Yeah, Appy straight in, you reckon?
Oh, 100%.
No. Yeah. That's
Cookies too. I don't think they'll go with Cookies. Older in the tooth.
Happy Coruscant. Gabriel.
Does Oppie Coruscant suit the style that they want to play that? I love him. But is Cook more suited to that power game?
Nah, Appy.
Happy, yeah.
Please.
no questions for Toddy.
Fucking hell.
Happy's a grouse. I'm just saying it suits. They seem to go. They like that sort of just conservative.
Oh, Cookie's a great
flat,
player,
fast.
but I think the Origin Arena is that ship
Past
sailed. Yeah. Well, our next game is the Sharks v the Warriors at Shark Park. A tough trip for the Warriors. They've been coming up against it, but they're finding ways to win. They held off a late finishing South Sydney last weekend. I think that will be a tough night for them against the Sharks. Obviously, the Sharks have been up and down also. I spoke about them a few weeks ago, but they're a team that could win the competition if we're picking a team, and then they go out and get dusted. So this is another tight one for me. I don't know what way to lean, and you've got some special news on it. What's yours?
Yeah, this is my cheddar of the week. The Sharks. I'm going for the Sharks. Just smell an upset. They're smelling blood. I can see the Sharks smelling blood in the Warriors pack.
Blood from your arm.
Blood from my arm. But yeah, I think I don't know. Why do I think it? It's just a feeling. I feel like it's the Sharks' little period coming up. They're sort of they're thereabouts. Warriors have been up for so long. I just think they've got to crack sooner or later. They've got to give a game away. I just don't think it'll be anything to do with them not having... Mitch Barnett out too is a big loss for them. So Mitch Barnett is a leader out of their pack. That brings them back a little bit. And I just think they've been up for so long. I just think the Sharks, if anyone's going to pull them apart, it's the Sharks at their best. You know, Nico playing good footy, Trindle, them both pulling the strings, and Fanua Blake up front's probably the... He'll relish in this contest, I think, playing up against the Warriors pack. Fisher Harris, the Bees' knees at the moment, they're packed. They're leading the way. I just think Fanua Blake, big game, halves off the back of it. Cronulla playing good. Cronulla's at the outside backs to match these big sides too. Yeah, you've got big enforcers out wide. Mulatano, Jesse Ramian, Iro, all these guys.
Eli Katoa, Katoa, the winger, will be welcome back this week too. First game of the season. He'll be playing this weekend for the Sharks.
For the Sharks. So who drops out for him?
Stone Street, I think.
Stone Street. He's been going good, Stone
I
Street.
think Stone Street's been the win. Yeah, but I know he's welcome back this weekend. I'm going to go the Warriors. I think the Warriors, the way they're playing, they'll just have not too much joy. I think they'll control Cronulla's middle and they'll control their back five. And
Mulatalo's out, boys. Sorry to interrupt.
Is he?
Mulatalo's out.
Oh, his cheddar might be on the rocks here.
Yeah.
You reckon my cheddar's based on Mulatano? He's influential. He's influential. So Stone Street will play on Mulatano's edge.
No, Stone Street's...
No, because Toddy just said his man's back.
Yeah, hold on. I'll double check. I'm looking at the right game here.
If Mulatano's out, they'd obviously put Stone Street and then.
Well, I'm looking at the team list. So it's Kennedy 1, Katoa 2, Ramian 3, Iro 4, and Hiratawi 5.
Yeah, right. So Stone Street and Mulatano are out, so we're wrong there. So I'm going to stick with the Warriors.
I'm not flinching now. Shark in the water, smelling blood.
Very good.
New Zealand blood.
New Zealand blood. All right. Well, our next game of the weekend is the Brisbane Broncos, which is a game I'll be commentating live with Triple M up here at Suncorp Stadium. It's the Broncos v the Titans. Our great mate Adam Reynolds, 300th. We had him on our podcast. And 300. Some great insight to any young half out there. So now that it's been released, I want to, give Renno a big congratulations on his 300s, but also thanking him for some of the gems he got. So if you're a young half, a little half, or a parent out there that you want to get your son to be the best kicker in the game, go have a listen. Send it to all your mates to have a listen because he gives you some hidden gems about what it takes to be an elite kicker in our game. That's goal kicking, general play kicking, but also gives an insight to being a smaller half, which is an accolade to him and a massive pat on the back to play his 300th and still doesn't miss a beat. So I think the Broncos win and they're my cheddar of the week. They welcome back Reece Walsh to fullback. So that dynamic duo of Reece Walsh and Ezra Mam will get a good glimpse of that and see what we've been missing from the start of the season, and I think Broncos find some form and they get the job done against the Titans on Saturday night.
Yeah, I think it's a safe bet, but to be honest, I still don't know if the Broncos are going to... When you're in that sort of hole, you're hoping for them to bounce back, but we've been saying that for week after week, and they're still looking really disconnected. For me, yeah, congratulations to Renno. Toddy just spoke about the interview. And how good it was. So if you haven't watched it, make sure you watch it and tell your friends. But I think the emotion of Reynolds 300 is the only thing for me that'll get him connected, because unless it's a crisis meeting on Monday after last week, I'm sure they would have had a few and some honest chats, and they're searching for a rebound because at the moment they're just not getting it. So, and Titans have got the ability, if the Broncos are rattled and they're playing one out and selfish and they're not connected, the Titans with high possession, they've got the ability to pull a win off every now and then. We saw that against Newcastle. We saw it against, I've had a brain snap. They had another one where they had all the possession and dismantled someone. It's been few and far between, but I can see them pulling the pants down of the Broncos if the Broncos capitulate. If the Broncos turn on each other,
you're going the Titans, are you saying?
I'm going Titans, yeah.
Okay. Wow.
I'm going Titans, but as you said, 300 games for Renno. If they can't get behind their captain and get up against the Titans, well, they are in a world of pain.
I just think with Reece Walsh coming back into the team, like that, as you said, they would have had a big talk about what went on at Manly last week. The players have sort of come out and said that it's no issue with Madge and things like that. Obviously, they would have had a fanfare for Renno's 300th. I've seen him. They had brought some old boys back that he'd played with along the way for a lunch during the week. So that also brings some spirit. And obviously, as you said, they'll galvanise a group to come together for his 300th. But I just think they'll have too much class. Why? The Titans will be in the fight early. I just think the Broncos will just have too much class and they may run away with it. So that's my cheddar of the week. So the cheddar pressure's on. I'm still in the lead. You don't talk about
Is
it much.
is mine a triple points this week with the
No,
Sharks? Because they're
Sharks are
not.
favourite.
Surely they're not favourites against Warriors.
They are. They are.
Sharks are favourites against Warriors.
Yeah.
You got to do your
But the
research
score-
properly
the
if you want to
score
pick your
update
cheddars.
is, Toddy's leading by 1.
Yes.
6-7.
Yeah, well, half the season still to go. I'm confident this week. I think the
I'll drink
Sharkies
to
will
that.
win, and I've got serious doubt the Broncos will get the job done. There you go.
Well, there you
We'll
go.
see.
Well, you're a dickhead.
You look at the Broncos team list, and it blows your mind every week that they lose games. Like I was just going through it then as we were talking, and it's just so hard to fathom that they don't click, eh?
Well, it's the mystery question. It's the $1 million question what they pay their coaches to go there. And the $1 million question is sometimes if it's the coach or what it is, but on paper, they should be sitting on top of the ladder. We tipped them at the start of the year to be playing finals and sitting in the top 4 a year. I still believe they'll play finals. I'll get the job done this weekend against the Titans, Mitch.
There you go.
Over to our
We will
next
see.
game is the Canberra Raiders versus the Rabbitohs. And the Rabbitohs welcome back Cody Walker, Jack White, and obviously the Trolls back. They're full strength. And the Raiders welcome back Jamal Fogarty. So they're also full strength. Some news, obviously, another big milestone this weekend for Josh Papali'i. He plays the most capped game for the Canberra Raiders. And it was an interesting thing. He came out yesterday and said it'd be his last year at the Canberra Raiders, but he won't say where it'll be next. Saying that he bleeds green. No one bleeds green more than him. And he's been a servant to the club for many, many years now, and he's doing a great job. His impact off the bench is, I think, what the difference is when he comes on. The whole bench relishes because he lays that platform early. But for me, I think the Raiders win because it's down there in Canberra, but I think it will be a tough encounter against the Rabbits' full strength. I think they'll take their time to find some groove with their full strengths, but obviously Cody Walker back and Jackie Whiten, it's a massive bonus.
Yeah, huge game this one. I'm going to go Canberra. Congratulations to Papali. Is he from Canberra? He's obviously Queenslander. When did he go to school in Canberra?
No, I think they signed him early. I'm not too sure when
So
it was, but he's
played all his 20s and everything there.
Yeah, he's been a great servant for the club.
Huge. So congratulations to Papali. I think, on the occasion there, Canberra, the form they're in, I think Canberra's going to have a good day out. But as you said, Cody back, Jack Whiten back. It's time for the South to put the foot down now, I think. Players back. They sort of need to go on a bit of a roll to stay in touch with that top 8 and really make a move. It's a great opportunity for them this week. This will be a real good game. Some great games.
There's
some great
really
games
good
with
games.
actual, where teams are on the ladder. Some teams that have to win to stay in touch. Some teams have got points to prove, and then games like this where Canberra smoothing along nicely, but South's they've got a pounce. I feel like it's their time now. Players starting to come back. Yeah, it's got a good storyline this weekend.
I think for the Bunnies for this game, it's the halfway mark of the season. If they're fair dinkum about playing finals football and beating those teams, they've got a chance this weekend. Obviously, players are coming back from a lengthy layoff, but if they can go out there and get the job done against the Canberra team, they'll have teams looking over their shoulder every time they're playing when they're full strength. Obviously, they'll miss Latrell again after this weekend, and maybe Kieran Cole-Matangi going into the origin period with Team 2 being picked on Sunday. But if South can win, I'll give them a massive chance of running on with it, going on with more wins, but it also will put some fear in other teams because any team with Latrell in it's got fear, but when they've got them all back, firing on all cylinders, they're a tough team to play against because they're so ad lib, but also they've got that power game in the mongrel. But I think the Canberra Raiders will hold them out this weekend.
Unlike you to go for Canberra.
Well, I was a bit disappointed in myself the other week when I went to Roosters as my cheddar. So I'm jumped back on the bandwagon. I got my green jumper in the middle today. So shut up.
I know, it's staring at me.
It's staring at you.
Staring at me.
Well, our next game of the weekend is the Tigers v the Panthers. Massive game for both teams, as we just spoke about. It's the mid-season of the year, midpoint of the year. Teams wanting wins, looking for wins, and two teams desperate for wins because they want to keep chasing that top 8. We speak about Penrith, they're on 11. I think the Tigers are on 14. So massive game for both teams. How do you see it playing out, and who's your winner?
Yeah, I think Penrith. I'm going to go Penrith this week. I just think, Nath Cleary again going into Origin. Players always want to play good before they go into Origin camp, and they probably know what's at stake. Obviously, they're going to be backing up. Their leaders are going to be backing up after another hard Origin game. It's a game that they have to bank. It'll be a game that they tick off that's a must-win. They've had plenty of them this year, but I just think if they're at their best, they'll be too good for the Tigers. But the good old Tigers will throw plenty of footy at them as they do each week. We keep complimenting them on the style of footy that they're playing. Benji Light, they're playing footy from everywhere and playing really creative footy, but I just think Penrith will get this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Penrith win.
Penrith will be too good.
I think they'll continue on their form from last weekend. They looked really good. While the Tigers come home with a wet sail against the Cowboys, if they can recapture that when they finish the game they can put some pressure on the Panthers. But I think the Panthers, with how they're going at the moment, they showed glimpses of it a few weeks ago in a loss, but then they done it really well against the Parramatta Eels on the weekend. And as you said, that man, Nathan Cleary, someone that we speak about a lot on here. And I think the same thing going in Origin, but also the way he's playing his footy. He'll have the team ready to get a win, and they need a win. It's do or die, as Gabe spoke about during the week. The 8 of 13 they need to win. If they're looking at that, they want to win all 13, and they want to try and press as much as they can to play finals and give it a fair shake. So the Panthers, for me, over the Tigers in a tight one.
To kind of circle back to last week where Tigers, as you said, came back with a wet sail, you notice it a few times in games where teams start staging a comeback late and it's too little too late. You see it all the time. Tigers are probably a good team for it. From your boys' experience, like what changes in a team when they just start doing too little too late? Why don't they play the type of footy earlier? Is it just the game slows down so they can take advantage of tired players? Is it being more willing to take risks? Because you see it work and you go, well, why weren't they doing it earlier? You know what I mean? I go for Rabbitohs last week. It's too little too late at the end. It's like, why weren't they pulling the trigger when they needed to?
They don't really stage the comeback. It just happens because, as you said, Gabe, they take risks. They throw some passes they probably wouldn't throw in the grind of the game. So we speak about heaps only about the momentum and how to keep the momentum. And against the Cowboys last week over the Tigers, they scored that first try. And then from the next set of the kickoff, they go pass, make a break, go down the field and score. But they've got momentum. So they've got all the field possession. They've got the rub of the green, the play the balls, but they're also playing a little bit risk-free because they're behind and they are chasing points and it works for them. But when the game's in the balance and you're going tit for tat and you're trying to find the groove and you're behind on the scoreboard only a little bit, you still got to build the game. You still got to try and stick to your cues of trying to get back into the game. But then at some point you have to pull the trigger on everything to try and chase the win, and they just come up too short. But it looks like the team stage it, and people say, why shouldn't they do it all the time? It's because the risk of doing it all the time could be the risk of turning the ball over cheaply in poor parts of the field.
Just burying.
It is a good question though, Gabe. It's a good question though, because I reckon and I'm sure Toddy would have gone through this plenty in his career as well. But as a half, you shake your head sometimes, because I've been in those situations where you ask yourself after comebacks and stuff like that, why didn't I play like that at the start of a game? Are we playing too conservative? And a lot of your mentality going into a game is, build the game, hit up, kick, get to our kicks, complete our sets. And then you play this mad footy for a 15-minute period and you wonder why You can't start games like that. Yeah, I just think it's a difficult skill to come out and play open style without the whole team thinking looseness and then forcing the pass. So I think teams play within themselves to build pressure, and the mentality from halves is that bit more conservative to base your game around completions, and then that transfers into good defence to start a game. It's a mentality thing that if you shift and go to trick plays or overplay early, it's a mentality thing. Sometimes not only in halves, but to the rest of the team, and then things become loose in defence. You fall off tackles. People talk a lot about how attack transfers to D and D transfers to attack, and it's a mentality thing. But I loved your question because as halves, I know Toddy would have thought like this a lot. When you do have those type of experiences in a game, you question yourself. I've had convos, me and Toddy would have when we played together. You have convos with the assistant coaches after, like, fuck, why don't we always play like that? But the trick is that you come out the next week, try and rediscover the way you finish the game, and you come up with 100 errors. It's it's a mentality thing. It's difficult to do.
It's an interesting insight. Yeah, that's good.
Thanks for the question, Gabriel.
Oh, mate, pleasure.
Good question.
Our last game of the weekend, to cap off the weekend, which everyone will be sitting glued waiting to watch, is the Dogs v the Eels. The Lachlan Galvin named in the number famous 23 jumper. Do we see him playing, Mitch?
No, I think he won't play this week. If he's named in 23, I think he'll be nurtured his way in. I don't think they're gonna. I think that it's a smart move from the Dogs. No, let's not unsettle the. Unsettle the ship. Just let's not unsettle the kennel. Yeah, let's not turn the dogs on each other in the kennel. Obviously, they're playing good footy. Sexton's going well. We know in this game injuries are not far away. There's always, a roll of the dice. How players are going to pull up from games. So maybe it's have him in the squad, get him around the group, get him to connect with the team for a little bit. As soon as an injury happens, he's straight in. Form slump, he's straight in.
Okay.
Just give him some weeks. Give him some weeks at training and blend him in.
So, Archer there, okay, what if the Dogs go on a run like they have from the start of the season, no injuries? But what happens?
I think he'll just be a squad player then.
What? Just sit on the bench every week? Or not even play reserve grade?
No, I think he'll be maybe as a 14 on the bench.
What? Over who?
I think what they've showed their cards this week is Sexton will stay at halfback for now. And I can see that you can see the narrative. He comes in, blend him in, let him train with the boys. It'll be a bit of a competition
I'm saying, like, who does he go in for if they continue to win and they play well?
I don't reckon he'll play as much this year if they keep winning. But there's going to be one point where I think if he's really good at training, starting to be the better half at training, and then Sexton's not playing out of this world, he'll get a start at one point, and then it'll be up to him.
What do you think, Toddy? Do you think he finds a way in or not? If they keep winning,
I think he plays this weekend.
It's a little throw off.
Yeah.
I don't reckon he's playing this week.
I honestly don't know. It's been very quiet since it's all come out, which I said would happen once Lachlan Galvin come out and done the 100% footy interview. So, like I said, it was a masterstroke from the player and the club to let him get out in front of people, because you know what? The talk's dead and buried. Like, obviously, come this game on the weekend, we'll be all sitting there going, is Galvin going to play? But the conversation is gone now. The job's done. It should have happened weeks and weeks ago, but it didn't. But now it has. It's just, let's move on from it, because there'll be a new story, and there already has been a new story that overshadows it. But when he plays...
Let's have a bet on it. He's not, from my point of view, he won't be playing this week. It'll be Sexton. You reckon he's playing?
Well, I didn't say that Sexton's not playing.
I'm saying Sexton's in the 7. You're saying you think Galvin will...
I never said Galvin's going to be in the 7, because you can't swap jumpers if you're named on the team sheet. So
well, 23.
I've got you on a text.
Do you think he'll start?
I've got you on a technicality there. And I think Sexton will play.
Fuck the technicality off. Just say.
I
you
think
he's playing
Sexton,
in the
I think
20
Galvin will both play this weekend. That's what I'm saying.
Both.
Both will play. They'll find
So
room
Galvin
for
comes
both
off
of them
the
to play.
bench, or-
I'll tell you on Sunday.
I'm cool with that. He could be on the bench. I'm saying he's not starting 7.
No,
I said he might be.
I never said that. Go back through it. I never said that.
I thought I got that wrong. So I thought
you.
you said you reckon he'd be playing this week, which meant he was at 7. So
When
you
the
don't.
big kid speaks, you sit down.
So you think he's coming off the bench, Tony?
I think he'll get a run this
What's he-
weekend.
Playing what?
Listen to how vague he's being.
What? I've got some inside
Who do you
mail.
Who do you think starting 7?
Sexton.
Who do you think
Stop
starting
messaging
half?
Gus. Sexton.
Okay.
Sexton 7.
Galvin off the bench at fucking front
Don't
row.
know. Front
Did
row.
you say who you think are going to win? Are we going dogs for a win? Surely.
I got one for you. I reckon Galvin might get brought into Origin in the front row for.
And I'm going Eels to win.
He might be the replacement for Mitch Barnett. There you go.
I'm going for Eels to win.
Eels to win.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I like that.
Moses Lomax just putting one on.
Oh,
I like that. I'll go Para too. I'm going Para too.
That's
I've got
a that's
a
a
couple of
round
questions for
14 preview wrap up, but we're not going anywhere yet because the great Greg from Tamworth has got some questions for us.
The bull rider from Tamworth.
That wasn't a bad impression, that one. Yeah, questions, boys. Interesting one here from Lockie. Would you rather be the best passer ever, best kicker ever, best goal kicker ever, or the fastest player ever? If you had to pick out of those traits, which one would you pick?
Goal kicker. It gets more accolades.
Yeah, goal kicker.
Yeah,
You should be able to pass. You should be able to kick. The fastness is obviously you get spoken about who's the fastest, but they can never tell because they'll never have a race. The great Roger Fabry wants that race to happen. So, Roger, if you're listening, we always give you a little shout out here, mate. So we love you. Hope you're doing well. The king of speed, Roger Fabry, had the great Joey Manu this week. But goal kicker, because it's a special thing to have in your toolbox. Because
if you're going to do greatest passes, throw me and Toddy in there in the top 10 for spiral passes, length of it. We'll have a crack, won't we, Toddy? We'll get up there with that. I'll back ourselves with that.
You've already got that one on lock, so you just had to overlook it.
I don't know if we're the greatest, but we'll be in top 10. We'll back ourselves with the spiral.
top 10 right to left pass, hit a winger on the chest or a kick of 40-20. So we've got Emmett.
You got the 40-20. I wasn't that good at the 40-20s, but the spiral, I back myself.
Cool. Next one. Who's tapping there? Stop tapping, cunt.
Sorry, bro. I'm
It's
getting
his ACD.
OCD, ADHD by bowlers kicking in. The big 3.
Most memorable game you played at club level and why? That's from Kyle.
You've asked us this before.
I don't think so.
I swear we said that 2010 grand final. Semi-final. Anyway.
Let's say club game. That's because that's a final game. My club game would be the Sydney Roosters v the Canberra Raiders down there at my first game.
You've said this before.
Okay. I have.
No, say it. But I'm just reminding
it was
Gabe,
down at
'cause I
Canberra. We
feel
can
like
say
I'm
it
having
again
deja vu right now.
because we've got a fan
You've
question.
been hit by a car, mate.
You can't
You've
ditch-
been hit by a
you
car.
can't
I'm telling you,
Toddy.
we've said this before unless I'm
You
freaking
can't
out.
belittle
Toddy said
our
exactly
fan
the
question
same
if they want to
story.
ask the same question. He might be a new footy nerd that's jumped on that has missed it and wants to get his name out there. So what was this bloke's name again?
Kyle.
Kyle. I'll answer the question for you. I'm not a
Answer
pig-headed
it, I'm
bloke
just
like
saying,
Mitch.
it's freaking me out. It's deja vu, bro.
Well, yes.
You've said
So
this
my
before.
game was the Sydney Roosters down in Canberra v the Raiders, obviously, and I went out and put on a clinic. So that's probably my most memorable club game.
And then what was yours, Mitchie?
I'll probably say the Newcastle versus Roosters game when I kissed the badge.
Oh, yeah.
Did you kiss the wrong badge? You kissed the NRL badge.
You know what the funny thing was? I was in the zone that about 6 games. That's probably the best I've ever played. And I said to someone before the game, I think it was Tristo. It was friend of ours, was my manager, and he said, "Oh, I'll get a try tonight and kiss the badge." And I said, "Yeah, I will." You know, when you're in the zone, and I was literally confident. I said, and literally what he said, I did it. Like it was weird. One of those moments, but only halves know. Only the halves know. Toddy knows. When you're in the zone, things just seem to happen. It doesn't happen all that often, but that's what happened that game. So that's why it was even felt good.
Awesome. This one is from Barefoot Skincare on Instagram.
Sponsor us. Barefoot.
What were your thoughts on Nathan's kicking game in Origin, not his goal kicking? I was wondering why Mitch wasn't doing more of the kicking, especially in our half.
Kicking game was grouse.
Yeah. I don't think he's asking
Shits
that
me when
question,
people
Mitch.
still keep criticising Nath. Like,
I don't think he's asking that.
If you compared that game...
If you start asking the sponsor and you know you're belittling his question.
I'm not belittling his question.
He's just asking the truth. But you know, he's not bagging.
Tell the truth.
He's not bagging Nathan's kicking game. He's asking why Mitchell didn't kick as much.
Yeah, but I've heard a couple of people go like, "Oh, he's
well,
this
that's
and
not
that."
him, but
oh, his kicking game was outstanding, and Mitch didn't need to kick too much. To be honest, to be fair, I thought Mitch, as good as he was, and as much as we love him, I thought he had a couple of poor kicks second half. Mitch, for how good he normally is, he had a 7 tackle kick, and then he had one try to kick on the 4th. That wasn't the greatest kick, so he'd be disappointed with them. But yeah, the more Mitch kicks and takes the pressure off, will be better for the result. But the way the game went and the way they rolled down the field, Nathan put every kick in the 10-metre area outside the try line. So.
And also, we spoke about it, that one of them during the week, or the two of them would have sat down together with Laurie and worked out who was going to be the dominant playmaker. And obviously Nathan was that man. So when you get that tag and you're going into a game, you have to rely on that person because he's the bloke that will take some time out of the set to work out what his kick's going to be. If they both sort of do that, they miss opportunities what's in front of them. So I think that's why we would have seen Nathan kick a lot more than Mitchell.
Well said. That's smart, Toddy.
Last one I got here, and there's a mixed bag from Braden. If you could only sign one of these players for 10 years, who would it be? You got Katoa,
Dylan Brown,
you got Galvin, you got Haas, you got Haas, you got Marky Mark, and you also got Suali'i, who's obviously no longer in the NRL, but he's in there.
Go again. Sorry, I was being a dickhead and I missed some names. Go again.
That's all right. Katoa, Galvin, Haas, Marky Mark from the Roosters, or Suali'i. You can only sign one for 10 years.
Katoa. Hands down.
I thought you might say Katoa.
Yeah, I'm saying Katoa because
remove
Payne Haas and
Katoa.
no-brainer. You'd sign him as well, but you need a half.
Yeah.
Marky Mark and Suali'i are random ones.
How are they getting thrown in the conversation of 10-year contracts? They're outside the
Suali'i's playing fucking rugby union. And Marky Mark's just come on the scene. You're not
Rocks and diamonds.
He's a great player, but you're not signing Marky Mark for 10 years now.
Mm.
He'll be back in rugby in 3 years.
He's back in French rugby in 5 years.
He'll be getting thrown big bucks, yeah. Because you'll never get $1 million in the NRL.
Straight to Japan, play to your 60. No tax.
Right, we'll remove Katoa because that was too easy. So Galvin, Haas, or Suali'i, I guess, because you said no to Marky Mark.
Payne Haas, he's 25.
Yeah.
24, 25. Payne Haas.
Mitch?
Yeah, Payne Haas.
Cool. So yeah, fair enough. That's the questions, boys.
Let's have a debate, Mitch, about this Dearden DCE. What do you think is going on?
No, I think they'll stick with Cherry Evans. I just think it's his last hurrah. He's captain with better possession and a better mentality, which they'll have. Queensland's going to have a good mentality second game. Let's not be fooled. Whenever we've been too confident and too cocky, like how many games have you good information to get off Gabe? How many games haven't been to a decider over the last 20 years? I reckon they'd be lucky to be 3.
I'll check in there.
Like as in that are one before the decider. There's not many in the history. So from history and the way Queensland bounced back, there's a lot going in their favour. So that's why, as much as New South Wales are 3 steps ahead at the moment and on form with even possession good refereeing, even refereeing. New South Wales, for me, is going to be too good. But, as we know, rubber the green sometimes can go the underdog's way. They're going to be fighting like all fuck with their play the balls. I think they're going to bring in Horsburgh, Trent Laria, if I said that right. How do you say his name?
Trent Liero.
Trent Laria. I think whether they bring both of them in or at least one of them, they're going to have a bigger body up front. Lindsay Collins gets another game. He only came in under one. He only had one game before game one, as so did Harry Grant. So they're going to be fitter in the legs. They're going to be more staunch up front, I think. They're going to have a mentality. I saw the way I saw Queensland play last game early on when they started to move the ball. There was no doubt that was the plan that they thought would unsettle New South Wales, but they're on the end of a penalty count. Their possession and errors were poor. So if they move the ball like that with high completion and a better kicking game, they're every chance of at least holding this game tight. That's how I see this one going, and I'm interested to see what Gabe gets back to us about how many games
just to reaffirm that for you, Mitch, over the past 20 years, State of Origin series has been decided in a game 17 times. So, most.
Exactly. So that's my point.
Yeah,
this is a tough ask. We're up against it, New South Wales, this game. I'm backing the boys all day. I've said that. But this is not going to be what we think. It's not going to be what we think.
Did you say that?
I just said it. We're going to win, but it's going to be a tough ask. I'm just saying Queensland's going to be up for this. We will win. But Queensland's coming fighting. You just spoke about the history.
Course. I think so too.
Well, and I think they're going to have a bigger body up front. There's talk about Reid Mahoney coming in to tag team with Harry Grant to give him a bit more mobility out of there, a bit more freshness. So
you asked Gabe to give you a stat about how many games have gone. So you're leaning towards that. Means you're leaning towards a Queensland win because you think there's going to be a decider.
No, I'm not. I'm just giving probably a talk I think Laurie would be giving for New South Wales. He's going to be talking about what they're up against. They're going to win. They're a better team. I've said that. I'm sticking to that. I'm not flinching one bit. I'm just saying we're not going to see the same Queensland side that we saw in game one. Off the back of history, they always bounce back. The refs, let's say it lightly, the rubber the green can always go to the underdog. You got those balloons there too? Yeah,
what the hell?
That was cool.
The boys are having a party. The boys are having a party.
That was cool. For those that aren't on our YouTube and listen to Spotify, I just have balloons pop up on the screen. So it could have been the Queensland Devil. Might have been the Queensland Energy. Queensland Devils coming up. Bring me the New South Wales Angels. Where's the Angels? New South Wales Angels. Come on.
How'd you do that?
New South Wales Angels. I don't know.
So Toddy, and you've got.
But that's my point. Cherry's going to be for them to get that kind of result. You need an experienced half and their captain on board. It's too big an ask for Dearden to come in, be the dominant kicker, and have to deal with all that. Cherry, even though he didn't play great, he's on older legs. He'll have more know-how for them to play their best footy. There you go. That's my opinion. But New South Wales, we will be too good, too strong across the 80 minutes. But it's going to be tough.
I'm unsure.
No thoughts, Toddy?
Well, no, there's definitely lots of thoughts. I spoke about at the start of the segment about if the Cowboys beat the Storm, I think Dearden stakes claims to be picked in the number 7 jumper. Obviously, Manly's up against Newcastle. If Dearden doesn't stake any claims against Storm, I think he stays in the 14 jumper. I know there's talk about Reid Mahoney coming in, but if
I don't like Dearden, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, but they're not. Yeah, but listen, it's my time to talk. So you get. So
that's why I just wanted to poke the bear a bit.
There's so much talk around. Okay, well, Dearden will take over DC and move him in. So there's too much smoke coming out about Dearden going to be in the number 7 jumper. Okay, so if they bring in Reid Mahoney and they don't have Dearden in the 7 jumper, which you're saying, Dearden then gets dropped. You can't drop a bloke that's been all this week in the media's on the back of media's tongue or tip of the media's tongue saying he's going to be picked for Queensland in the number 7 jumper. That's too much. That's too crazy because it's going from being picked in the number 7 jumper, then for them to keep DC. they have to keep him in the squad somewhere. They can't just drop him going, "I'll see you later. We're bringing in Reid Marnie. Hasn't been tried and tested in Origin, and we'll put Harry Grant back to the bench." I think if they do it, they would move. They'll bring in. They'll bring in Dearden to the 7, and they'd rig Marnie to 9, and Harry Grant would go back to 14. That's if they went with the Dearden thing. But if they go with DCE, they'll go with Dearden on the bench, and Harry Grant will still start where he is. Or that's how it plays out. I don't see him dropping one or the other. But like I said,
Let's talk of Kurt Mann. Let's talk of Kurt Mann.
Here we go. Well. What? They're going to have 5 hookers on the bench.
No, I just said that's another alternative that Kurt Mann potentially could start at 9, play as that hard defender.
Yeah, but
then he can cover halves. He can cover halves.
Yeah, but they've still got to drop someone.
Well, mate, to be honest, I couldn't care less about Queensland.
Well, only 3 weeks ago you went
Mitch.
from.
That's what we've wanted to hear from you the whole time.
Mate, it's opinion. I'm giving an honest opinion. We're going for New South Wales, but you still got to tell the truth of what you think Queensland are capable of.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't really give a fuck about them.
You do. You went for them 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I know. Bring it up more.
Well, I do. Because it's good. Because the fans love it. The footy nerds love it because they hated you. For 1 week, they hated you dickhead.
Yeah. It's not the first time hate's come my way.
Well, that's very true. It's usually on the other side of the fence, but Queensland fans liked you for once.
Maybe one of the footy nerds organised that car crash yesterday. They got a hit on me.
I'll tell you who organised the car crash is I'm pointing at its little pinhead. You organised it yourself.
Yeah, I reckon there might have been a little someone on this line organised it. Knowing I was going for a run, organised the hit. Well,
When's
you know
your
what?
beautiful
Didn't fucking
baby
work.
due?
I'm still standing.
When's your beautiful baby due?
My baby is due in September.
Wow.
So it's getting around close. And you know who she'll be going for? New South Wales.
Let's go.
She'll be going for New South Wales, Toddy.
How cool. Bilingual, speak French and English.
And she'll be going for France. She'll be going for
She'll
Australia.
Un peu English.
Un petit peu. Un petit peu parler français. Un petit peu parler anglais.
Would you want your daughter to play footy, Mitch?
Nah. If she's like her mum, I reckon she'll be a tough girl. My missus is pretty tough. So I reckon she won't be a girly girl, I don't think. But I don't know. If she wants to play footy, she can play footy. I think it'd be hard to keep your daughters away from footy in the next 10 years, the way the game keeps growing with all
That's what I ask, yeah.
Yeah. I mean...
Just come home to us.
Yeah, I know. I'll be there soon, bro. We've got plenty to do, me and you.
Mate. We've got plenty to do. We've got the world to take over.
Can I just ask a question? You've gone from just antagonising me to just turning into this mad empathetic dude within about 10 seconds.
Because that's the game I play.
Asking me about my baby and come home and fucking 2 minutes ago you were like Ivan Milat there. Your old mate Ivan.
Well, because the footy nerds have publicly come out and said they want me to attack you because you're sitting there too calm and collected all the time, so I'll come at you.
Well, you sit on forums with the footy nerds.
I do.
On your days off.
I do.
Yeah, good. We know you love them, but I didn't know you were trolling with them.
I troll with them. I've got an Instagram chat. If you jump on an Instagram page, you'll see there's a chat.
Account.
It's a good crew. How big's our tribe become, Gabe?
The growth on Instagram's been really good.
We're very thankful for that. We're very grateful for our community. We're hoping a good goal for us will get that to 10,000 over the next few months. I think we're on about 6,000 community. Yep. We'd like to get that to 10,000 at least by the end of the footy season, I reckon.
That's right.
Starting to get a good solid crew of NRL footy nerd communities because there's some good content coming. And some
good content,
good
stick
chat.
to the boys, and then when Mitch is back, when he decides to come home, we'll be able to
reboot.
Yeah, just give the footy nerds what they want. Just sit down and let's chew the fat about instead of sitting on here, let's go to places and chew the fat about the Black Book stories. Open up
good
the
to
forum.
have the three of us going to a few luncheons in and around. We could go to where's the bull rider from again? Tamworth.
The fucking bull rider. Yeah,
You'd have
Tamworth.
1,000, 2,000 country Tamworth bull riders to come along, wouldn't you, Gabe?
Oh, mate, every single one of them.
We'll go to sit on a haystack and talk about footy.
Chewing on a
look,
bit
the
of
Tamworth
hay with the
fans
cowboy
love us
hat.
now.
Wear cowboy boots and cowboy hats and just talk footy.
Shout out all the Tamworthians listening.
Yes. The Great
Right,
Country
wrap us
Music
up, Toby.
Festival. All right. Well, that's a wrap. We've started
good,
talking
that.
shit, dribbling shit. Mitch is getting tired of France. I've got to attack the day. So round 14 preview done and dusted. Thanks for the listening, and we'll see you all again next week. And strap in for a great weekend of rugby league. And let's get the popcorn out to see our New South Wales and Queensland teams pick this Sunday afternoon. Go the Blues!
Quote of the day, as it says on Toddy's shirt, believe.
The one word of the day is believe.